basically lighting can be broken into two types. There's soft lighting and hard lighting. And soft lighting is a source that is very broad, and hard lighting is a point source. If a lighting source is very broad, the shadows from it will be very soft. Because if you think about what draws a shadow, if you have a point source, like direct sunlight, how you can see your shadow very clearly on the ground, it's a point, and you're very far away from the point, so it makes a hard shadow. If you were right next to the sun, aside from bursting into flame and dying, it would be a broad source because it would wrap around you, right? It would be all the way on the right and all the way on the left, and there would be very little shadow because it's projecting your shadow in many different directions. I can tell you right now that the room we're in has it's toppy light, which means it's coming from the top, and it's very soft. It's fluorescent. 4-foot fluorescents are soft just by definition because they're big long tubes of light, right? If you shoot it close up, there's light all the way on the right, all the way on the left. Makes very little shadow. We have a whole bunch of 4-foot fluorescents all over the top. So if you look at your fist, it's very soft all around except the bottom, which is probably a stop or more darker. It's considerably darker underneath. Okay, so I've talked about soft light and point light. Now, soft light, because it wraps around, it makes people look very pretty. It takes away imperfections because if I have a pimple and you have like a pin source of light, the pimple might even cast a shadow across my forehead. You know what I'm saying? How would that look? Do you guys get that? And now there are times when, like, if it's a story about high school and it's a kid who like wants to ask a gal out and he thinks he's incredibly ugly, and he wakes up in the morning and has a pimple, like that hard light casting the shadow of the pimple might be great, right? If it's someone who you want to portray as the object of someone's affection and they're supposed to be super beautiful and they have a pimple, what type of light do you want? Soft light. You want ideally super soft light that's coming right from where the camera is. There are things called ring lights that the lens is in the middle and the light goes all the way around the outside. It makes super soft light. It makes it so there are no shadows on the person. Okay, so we've talked about these two basic types of light, soft light and hard light. The next thing to deal with is separation. You want to separate your subjects from their backgrounds, unless you don't. So, you're here, welcome. Grab a seat. We'll take the spotlight off of you. Okay, so you want to separate the object that you want focused on from the background. There are very few exceptions to that. Mainly you want people, if someone's talking, you want to distinguish them from the background. So you bring their light level up, perhaps half a stop, a little bit brighter than the background. You also create edges or chromatic contrast, but you do something to make a line, a white line on them, and that separates or makes them pop out of the background. So there's luminant contrast, which would be making an edge, and there's chromatic contrast, which would be if I am against a totally black, if I'm dressed all in red and there's like a bright blue background, I'm gonna pop out of it, right? Whereas if yes?
Can you repeat, so it's luminous?
There's luminant contrast, which is like bright to dark, or dark to bright, and then there's chromatic contrast, and that's having colors that contrast with the background. And those things make someone pop out. Did anyone ever see Zoolander? Yeah, Audrey.
So for the luminant contrast, you said you can create an edge with a backlight, right? Or you can bring the light on them up.
Yes.
Does that?
You can do, or you can do both.
So if you do the front light without the edge, won't that, unless you're like really far from the wall, won't that cast a lot of shadows? Like is that capable in a small room?
No, small rooms are terrible and you shouldn't use them to shoot in. And that's just like a fact of life. Just don't shoot in small rooms unless you have a really important reason to shoot in a small room. I'm sorry for being flip about that, but
No,
it just
it's okay.
is that's, you know what, you know why the set on the stage is a bathroom? Because bathrooms are small and it's a nightmare to shoot in them. So it like a set makes it a little easier to make a bathroom. And the Israeli filmmaker that set was built for, if you look at the short film he made, Aaron Rickless, you're never like, oh my God, this bathroom's totally unrealistic, it's the wrong size. Like you're just like, oh, these are people like doing their thing, taking a bath in a bathroom. You don't think about the size of it. Okay, so we were on chromatic contrast and luminant contrast, and we were talking about ways to separate people from backgrounds. And so we talked about the room now has soft light in it, right? Soft toppy light. These two lights are hard lights. They're also hot lights. Many of our lights are LEDs. They're not hot, but these ones are hot lights. Hot lights typically are balanced for tungsten, which is 3,200 degrees Kelvin. The LED lights, which we'll get set up in a second, you can set to 3,200 degrees Kelvin, which is warm, or you can set them to daylight, a bluer shift. Basically for filmmaking and a lot of work with color, there's a Kelvin scale, which goes from very, very warm, which is orangey, to very, very cold, which is blue. And there are two standards. One of them is still, there are a lot of applications for it, which is tungsten at 3,200 degrees Kelvin. The other one, 5,600 degrees Kelvin, is daylight, but that's daylight for motion picture film, and some video standards still use 5,600 degrees Kelvin, however, not so many. And Tristan, we're recording this and Toby's taking notes, so you'll have access to it.
Okay.
And this is just to help you guys with lighting for your final films. Okay? Yeah, who had a question?
How do you know to adjust it to 3,200?
Okay, on the camera or on the lights?
Both.
Okay, so for any film light, any light that, like a low light, a Mole Richardson light, any light that's for film, is 3,200 degrees Kelvin. Like a quartz halogen light bulb is 3,200 degrees Kelvin. If it's a photo light bulb. If you buy light bulbs at Home Depot that are quartz, they might be 2,900 degrees, they might be 3,800 degrees, but they're going to be somewhere in that range. But anything that's, if you look at B&H or at any film house and you rent lights, they'll all be exactly that color temperature.
Okay.
And that's important because when you white balance, white will be white, black will be black, blue will be blue, red will be red. If you white balance and if you set your camera to 3,200 degrees Kelvin.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the name for it? For the 3,200 degrees Kelvin that you said?
Tungsten.
Also, what is a stop?
Oh, okay. No, that's a great question. A stop is half as much or twice as much light as the next stop. And depending on the way your film is rated, it can be measured in foot candles, which is an absolute measurement. A foot candle is the power of one candle light at 1 foot. So like a common, what?
That's really cool, sorry.
It's an F2 at 200 foot candles. So at 400 foot candles, that's twice as much light, right? So twice as much light, if it's an F2, the next stop is a 2.8. It's the next smallest one.
On the camera?
On the camera, yeah. You know that on some of the cameras, there's a setting and it goes like 2, 2.8, 4, 5.6, 8, 11, 8, 11, 16, 22. Those are f-stops.
So higher f-stop, less light gets in the lens. Higher ISO, more light gets in the lens.
Higher ISO, more sensitive sensor. Okay.
And higher f-stop is more?
Higher f-stop is less light. Here's a fun trick that actually I had like a really nice teaching moment the other day. Every once in a while you show someone something and they're like, oh my God, like to see them get excited. There was a gal who was nearsighted and she was trying to understand depth of field. things being shallow focus and deep focus. I'm bringing this up because it's related to f-stops as well. Not only do f-stops regulate the amount of light, they regulate it by making a larger or smaller aperture, a larger or smaller hole that the light's getting through. Larger apertures have shallower depth of field, less areas in focus. When you open up the aperture, you have shallower focus. You know that really sexy, like half of the person's face is in focus and the background's out of focus and the person in front of them's out of focus? You guys know what I'm talking about, like really shallow focus? You need a wide aperture for that. You need to be at a 2, a 2.8, something very wide. Folks who, yes?
So a bigger aperture is a lower f-stop, right?
Yes.
Okay.
A bigger aperture is a lower f-stop.
So it's easier to get that effect in the bright lighting?
It's easier to get that effect in low lighting. Yeah.
It's a higher, wider aperture.
True.
Okay, so here, people that are, how many people are nearsighted? I'm nearsighted.
What is that? Which one
It
is
means
it?
you can't see distances.
Oh, no, how far is it?
Oh wait, I actually had to show someone how blurry things are to me using a camera.
Oh, cool.
Without my glasses.
Oh, good. Okay, so watch the 3 people who are nearsighted, not me because I won't be excited about it. So Isabella is nearsighted, is that right?
Yeah, like you cannot see.
Distance, like, do you have contacts in or no?
No, I just lost my glasses.
Oh my gosh, oh no, you're like my daughter then, who loses her glasses all the time. You have contacts? Okay, it's not gonna work with contacts. But these 3, watch Isabella and watch Weiwei and watch Tara. Okay, I want you to look at this wall without your glasses. It's blurry, right?
Yeah.
With your 2 fingers and thumbs, make a tiny hole. Make a tiny hole and hold it up to your eye. Hold it up to your eye and look through it and squeeze down. And look at the wall. It will come into focus.
What?
Wow.
Is it working?
What the heck?
Did you watch them? Did you watch what they did? They were like, what? Whoa. Oh my God. Well, what did we say about depth of field? Did it work?
Yeah,
This is crazy.
You can see again. You have sight. Isabella's working.
Yeah, but I don't need to buy glasses again. I can just.
Just go around.
look really good.
Giving sight to the blind Jesus movie.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I should have light come down on me now, right? Okay, so did you see how excited they were? Okay, what size hole was it that made things be in focus? Was it a big hole?
A smaller.
It was a smaller hole. So with the small iris with an f16, you have a lot of depth of field. Much is in focus. With a big iris, very little's in focus, right? I'm so psyched that works. Like everyone understands it now, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay, cool. Okay, but we're talking about lighting. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing is that when Isabel made the little tiny hole, was the room bright? It's not bright.
Not like. No.
It's darker
Yeah.
because less light can come in. So you need more light for that to happen. By the way, people that are nearsighted, your vision gets much better in bright sunlight. Do you know why it gets better?
There's more like light bouncing back in our eye.
What's happening to your pupil?
Is it dilating?
It's not dilating.
It's doing the
They
opposite.
get smaller.
It's pinning. It's becoming small.
What's dilating? Dilating when they get bigger.
So, do you get that now?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes
Okay. Okay, so shallow depth of field, you need low light, or you need neutral density, or you need a low ISO. There are a number of ways to achieve shallow depth of field. One of them is just having not very much light in the room. Another is neutral density filter. Some of the cameras we have, you can actually turn a neutral density filter on.
So less light is equals more focus.
Less light, less focus, less depth of field.
Shallow depth of field.
Shallow depth of field.
Sexier focus.
What's it?
Can you mess with depth of field through ISO, or is that just the distance?
Can you?
Mess with the depth of field using ISO.
Yes, the depth of field is purely a function of the iris, but if you raise your ISO, you get to close down your iris, right? The faster your ISO, the smaller the hole is that the light goes through, so you have more depth of field. Yeah,
Are the iris and the aperture the same thing?
they're the same thing.
So what's the difference between an ISO and your f-stop?
Okay, the ISO is the sensitivity of the sensor. It's how responsive it is to a given amount of light.
Oh, what's the sensor?
The sensor is the thing that's reading the image. It's
Like
the
your
thing
eye.
behind the lens.
Oh, that thing, like you take it off and it's like.
You look at that rectangular thing and you're like, oh, there's dust on it. I should scratch it. Oh, no, I'm joking. Don't ever touch the sensor, okay? Yeah, don't ever touch the sensor. Yes, Alex.
When I was shooting my improv thing, I tried to make it really cinematic, so I changed like frames per second and the shutter speed.
You changed the
shutter speed. Is that just that?
Shutter speed is a different thing. There's if you think about
Sorry.
Because I heard that like a 50 shutter speed with a 24 frames per second, that makes it more cinematic.
yeah.
So that like altered my light as well, so I had to adjust.
Yes, so as a default, if you want your stuff to look like single camera television or feature films, as a default you should shoot at a 48th of a second or a 50th of a second. If it doesn't have a 48th of a second on your camera, set it to a 50th of a second. We should have a basic discussion about light and sensors. And if you think about the sensor as a cup that you fill with water, for any given frame, you need to fill the cup up to be full for the frame to work. Okay. There are a bunch of different ways to fill the cup up with light instead of water. This is sorry that we're recording this because it's going to sound crazy. One way, if your cup is only half full and you need more light, Frederica, how can you get more light to fill your cup all the way with light?
Can you repeat that?
Okay, we have a cup that we want to fill with light. If we fill it with light, we'll have a perfect frame, okay? The cup is only half full of light. What choices do you have to get more light into the cup?
Higher ISO.
A higher ISO, yes, a higher ISO would make the half cup of light go further. If we doubled the ISO, we would have twice as much light in the cup, or that the image would be twice as bright. So you could increase your ISO. Audrey?
Well, you could open the aperture, but I also have a question.
Okay, wait, I want to get through this. Okay, so another thing you could do is you could open the aperture. You could make the iris, if you open the aperture one stop, if you went from a 4 to a 2.8, you would have twice as much light. The hole would be bigger and twice as much light would come in, so you would have a full cup of light. Now, there's another thing that Alex was talking about. There's another way you could get that full cup of light. Tristan, do you want to guess? Did you ever thought about it?
I was gonna say aperture.
Okay, that's one of them. And the other one, well, Alex, you can, I want someone else to, does anyone else know? Yeah.
Is the shutter speed?
Shutter speed, yes. So if you're at 100th of a second and you go to a 50th of a second, that's twice as much light. From 100th of a second to a 50th of a second is twice as much light. Then the cup is full and you have a proper exposure.
So the
Yeah, Tara.
50th is brighter?
What's it?
The 50th is brighter, the 100th is brighter?
The 50th is brighter. It's, if you think about,
light
if,
is going in per second.
yeah.
It's like the
it's-
size of the pizza slice, right?
What's it? Yes,
So it's
well,
spin-
that's one way to think about it, and that's the way film cameras were constructed, physical film cameras. But yes, 100th of a second, I know, I was confused too, which is embarrassing because my daughters wouldn't be confused. But how many 50ths can you put in how many 100th of a second can you put in a 50th of a second? Two, right? So a 50th is twice as much light as 100.
But doesn't it, it's like slower, right?
A 50th is slower.
Doesn't it make that weird, like,
Is that how you do slow motion? 'Cause I know
No, that's not how you get slow motion.
Oh.
But it's a good question, and we can get into that too.
Okay, which one's the one where like,
Frame rate.
you know what I'm talking about, the like,
Oh, staccato.
Yeah.
Like a staccato, you know, in something like 28 Days Later, like they do it in a lot of monster movies, they do it in war films, or
They do
where
it in
people are
6
like
Degree
moving and they kind of are freeze framing. That's because they're using not a 50th of a second, but they're using a higher shutter speed. They're using a 250th of a second, or maybe a 1,000th of a second, and it's freezing motion. So we have less. The illusion of movement is less. And the way that we get slow motion is not by shutter speed, but by frames per second, by tachometer. Slow motion is when you don't have a higher shutter speed, you have a more frames per second. So yes.
So higher, this is nothing to do with what you just said. I'm still stuck
Okay.
on the ISO.
No, that's okay.
So higher ISO is more sensitivity to light?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A higher ISO, if the ISO was 100 and you only had half a cup of light, if you adjusted your ISO to 200, if you double your ISO, your cup would be full. Yeah, Toby.
So I know frames per second makes sense like with pictures, but like when you're taking a video, the difference between capturing 100 frames per second and 50, I don't really understand in a video.
Okay. I'm trying to think of how to describe it.
Is it basically like the video is taking 50 seconds per picture, and you're 50 pictures per second, and you're just watching that as quickly as possible?
Okay, that's where the confusion is. So, and it's confusing on some cameras because when you shoot at 60 frames per second, it plays back at 60 frames per second, and it looks no different, right? Or not substantially different. You have to change your time base on your file so that what you want to do is have your project be, if your project is 24 frames per second, then when you shoot something at 60 frames per second, you want to change the time base on that shot to 24 frames per second, so it takes those 60 frames, say you shot 1 second of footage at 60 frames per second, you have 60 frames, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you play it back at 60 frames per second, how long is it?
A second?
It's 1 second. So, but what you want to do is play it back at 24 frames per second, in which case it's 2.5 seconds long. It's over twice as long. Okay, and that's why, and if it's 2.5 times as long, then the person's moving 2.5 times slower, and that's how you get proper slow motion. And you don't want to do that by changing the motion, changing the speed in Premiere. You want to do that outside of Premiere in MPEG Screen Clip or a program, another program that will allow you to properly change the time base. Because if you do it with the effects in Premiere, it'll interpolate frames, it'll make new frames, and they'll look kind of wonky. Whereas you don't want any new frames, you want to use the frames that you photographed.
Can we look at that program closer, like later?
MPEG Screen Clip?
Yeah.
Yes, you email me about that, because that's kind of a specialized thing. If people are like, I gotta have slow motion in my movie, I'll show you how to do that. But I want to focus on lighting now. And there's two other things. Someone shut off the lights, and Toby, you have the camera, or pass the camera to somebody else because you're taking notes at the moment. And okay, so folks stand over there with the camera and look at me in this chair. So Tristan, everybody, come on over there. I want you to be looking through the camera.
Can I ask you a question while we're here?
Along.
What is the relationship between FPS and shutter speed?
Okay, Audrey's asking what the relationship between frames per second and shutter speed is, and essentially, if you're shooting 24 frames per second, the slowest shutter speed you can shoot with the video is 24th of a second, right?
You get like distortion of movement otherwise?
It's just not possible because I mean, like, because you would need to expand time beyond what as it exists in our realm.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds weird, but that's what you would have to do.
So what if you go the other way? What if you're doing like 50 at 24 frames per second? What is that doing? Is that
If you're
exposing
doing
it
50.
twice per frame rate?
No, it's simply just opening the shutter for a 50th, even though it has the opportunity to open it for a 24th. So you're not having the shutter open for the whole time that it could be open. Does that make sense?
What does that change?
As you make the shutter speed faster, it sharpens the motion and freezes it more. Okay, so you guys, everyone look at what Tristan's looking at, which is a really handsome guy with glasses and a chair, who is, now here's the thing, is I am more or less in silhouette now, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a thing you can do, is you can light the background and not the person, and it's actually kind of cool, right? I'm in silhouette, but I'm very clear. Like you can see me clearly, right?
Yes.
Now here's the thing, is it's good to, I like personally as a strategy for lighting, what I like to do is put the edge light in first. Do you want to get a shot of the, don't want to burn my hands. So that's the silhouette, right?
Yeah.
Now, maybe we'll keep the silhouette, and then there's a thing, I like to do an edge before I do a key light.
What's the edge?
The edge is this.
Ooh.
Do you see that there's a white line around me now?
Is there a way to hide the light itself?
Yes, you can put it anywhere that the camera doesn't see. If someone wants to try, they can move the, you just hit the light, right?
Yeah, I just moved.
Right. So now I have an edge. Now, and it looks, the edge looks good, right? Turn on the lights in the room. Now there's an issue here, which is that you can turn on the lights. There's different colors of light, which is not as good as, you can turn them all on actually, we only have half on. I really require a lot of light in order to look good. Okay, so there's still an edge. You see, Tristan, can you see that there's still an edge around me? But it's subtler, right? And I'm fully illuminated. So this is actually an adequate lighting setup. Do you get that the edge makes a difference in terms of making it look dramatic and professional?
Can we see it without?
Yeah, that's called A and Bing. What you say to your lighting technician is, I want to A and B that. Okay, so you're looking at it? Okay, A, B, A, B.
Wait, can you? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna record this on my phone.
That's okay.
Can you do the AB thing?
A, B, A, B. Okay, you got it? So you see how valuable an edge is? It's easier to make edges with spotlights. You can make an edge with anything. Forget I said that. I'm not gonna, yeah. Okay, so what we have is we have a light that's lighting the background here. Let me show you something else. If we kill this, and Tristan's perspective is a perfect perspective for this. If we kill that, we still have this background, right? And that makes, there's some contrast. There's a luminant contrast between, okay, if I shut it off, it's dull, right? Do you get that? Do you want to see A, B, A, B, which is more dramatic? A, the one with the light, right?
Wait, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at.
I couldn't hear you.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at.
Oh, look at my face in the background and decide whether it's better with some light on the background or without light on the background. And you might be like, you know what, I like it better the other way because it's art, it's not science, but it.
See how much lighting he looks from the wall when it's on and when it's off. It kind of like blends, like flattens space. I don't know how to see it.
Which one do you think is pretty?
Okay, can someone get the LED light up and make a key light? Yeah, just one for now. Is it just one? I think it's just one. Let's get one. Actually, let's get two up then, because we'll use one as a key and one as a fill. Now, if you had like lighting class in high school, which some of you may have had, they talk about like Rembrandt or 3-point lighting, which is just, I don't know, Oh, good. Alex did the right thing, which is to call striking when he powered up the light. In this case, it didn't turn on right away.
What do you want?
We'll tighten it up, and then so when they talk about 3-point lighting, they're talking about a edge light, a key light, and a fill light. And okay, and then you would say striking before you did that. And that looks like, oh, you did. Okay. Okay, you want to say it in a loud, clear voice.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I
Okay.
didn't want to
Let's kill the house lights.
Let's get the light box.
Kill the house lights means shut the light off. And on set, because they don't like people shouting, a lot of times the technicians will all have little headsets on. And This would be like a signal for the house lights. Would be because Isabel's going to point at her and go. Okay, and that obviously you get what that means, right? It means kill the lights. Okay. What's it?
Was that supposed to be filming this?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Was I supposed to be filming this?
No, you don't have to film it. I just want you guys to have a monitor to be able to look through it. Okay, so, these LEDs, they have a knob, they have two, they're actually really fun, easy lights to use because instead of putting scrims in or doing things to darken them, they have a knob. You see Audrey's turning up and down the brightness of the light. That's going to become more important in a second. Let me get my edge light back on so I'll look my best. Okay, so now we have an edge light, right? That's drawing a white line around me, and we have a key light that's coming from camera right. My left, camera right. You don't have to wrap it around because we're going to do a fill in a second. You can have it right on the side. That's good right there. Woof. Woof means stop in dog language. They use it on lighting crews sometimes
Can you
too.
take a pic for me of what's going on?
View.
So
Him.
now the other thing that these lights have on them that you need to be very careful about is they have color temperature. Audrey, will you go back and adjust the color temperature?
This is warm as possible, middle, and cold as possible.
Okay, do you see the difference?
Yeah.
You might not notice it on set because your eyes auto white balance, and then you'll get your dailies back, your footage back, and you'll be like, oh my God, I've ruined everything. And you may have ruined everything. Because having mixed light in a frame is very difficult to correct. It's correctable, it takes hours and hours and hours to do. But it's beyond, it means going into Resolve and making masks and masking out things that are different colors and correcting them separately as separate layers.
When you say different, like mixed light in the frame, do you mean like within this one shot?
Yes, if there's orange light over here and blue light over here, when you're like, I want it actually all to be white, it's really hard to correct it. If it was all too orange, I can correct that like this.
Yeah.
I fixed it. But if this is orange and that's blue, if I fix the blue, that gets too orange. If I fix the orange, that gets too blue.
Yeah, I think
Is this
we
supposed to
found
be
that in our
What's
in the CMF thing because the sun went away towards the end of the shooting, so the continuity kind of it looked fine in the end, but it just kind of it makes you have to deal with it in post.
Yeah.
Because we literally went
It
from
was
the
good
sun.
color correction practice.
But yeah, we had sunlight coming in on one side and our warm lights on the other for the first half of the day. Second half of the day,
Just
sun's
copy and
gone,
paste,
and we just had our warm lights.
Oh, okay.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be a 32?
Yeah, put it at
It
32.
is at 32.
So
Now-
this is the key light?
That's the key light.
And what does the key light do?
The key light is it's the most important light in the scene. It's the light that is illuminating your talent. And I'm the talent right now. Now, you might notice, if I look at my fist, in this light, it's very bright on this side and it's very dark on this side. My face is bright on this side and dark on this side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's a little brighter than it would be because I'm getting bounce off of that white there. Do you all see that?
Yeah.
That there's a big white thing that's actually acting as a source. Now we're going to add a thing called a fill light. Will you power up this light over here?
How do I turn it on?
So right now
Oh,
we're working
one
with fill light, edge light,
And key light.
and which is the key light right now?
The key light is the primary light that is brightest on your talent. And the fill light is the light that controls the shadow level on the talent. So right now, it feels like my fill is hotter than my key. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, now do you see, Alex, shut it down altogether. Okay, now watch, do you see the shadow level between, this is the most dramatic that you can get in this room with this light, this is the amount of shadow I can get on this side, that's the amount of bright I can get. Now, Alex can make it less dramatic by increasing the fill. Do you see? Does that make sense? And then, now the other thing that is worth knowing is the barn doors on lights. These ones, I think they might come with barn doors. There are ways to control where the light goes. On a big,
They do, they've got plastic.
Well, there's
Okay.
diffuser.
so in a big production, electricians make light and grips make shadow. Like, you guys think grips are just guys that carry concrete bags or whatever? Grips are shadow makers. They have all sorts of tools to construct shadows. This light, the edge light, what I want to do is carefully, obviously you don't burn your fingers, close down the barn doors so they're not on that. If the edge light was only on me and not on anything else, we could make a more dramatic shadow. So let's kill the fill light.
So when we say striking, is that just to warn the actor that there's gonna be light on them?
That's to warn everybody not to stare at the bright light.
Do you take striking when you turn it off too?
No, you just shut it off.
I always do.
Okay, so you guys see how you see this white window here? Mm-hmm. Okay, now it's not getting bounce light on it. And because it's not getting bounce light, there's a more dramatic shadow on me. Do you get it?
Oh wow.
Okay, so this basic idea of this is the subject, and I want to separate them from the background. I can do that by putting an edge in, or I can do that by some other contrast. That I want to have a key light. Do you get that? Because I'm here. Turn on the lights in the room. All the lights, yeah. Turn all the lights on. Now, do you see that because that's on me, I'm a little brighter than the background, and I pop out, right? I can't tell how. You could turn that down so it was subtle. Someone might want to operate that to do that, but you can make me just a little bit brighter than the rest of the room.
How's that?
Do you all see? So you get to it's painting. There's actually a book, Painting with Light. That's a really important book on lighting. This is painting, and I can make something that's very subtle but still makes the audience pay attention to my face. Does anyone have any questions?
Does it always require or I guess for these, do they work outside without having to be plugged in?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
battery packs.
it's with
We
battery.
charge them for a long time.
Okay.
That's actually really cool. I didn't realize that.
Now, another thing to be aware of is these will work outside and they are daylight balanced, but they're like pissing in the ocean if you're on a sunny day out. It's not going to do anything. Like, you'll bring them out, you'll be in the sunlight, you'll turn it on, and it will do nothing. You'll be like, oh, that didn't do anything. In a car in daylight, they might work well. This is actually a nice segue. We're going to walk over to the equipment room now to get something. We'll leave this stuff up as it is because you guys will be working with it in a little bit.
What if the equipment room open during whatever?
At night for, we'll talk about it on the way. Everyone, to the equipment room. Hey, can I have 3 bounce flex fills? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Here's one for Team Italy. Alex, you can have one for Scotland. And the States will have, Toby will operate that one. Okay, we want our camera and we want to come outside, and you're going to see what you can do instead of using the LEDs. Do you all know how to open those?
Oh no. Yes.
People, yeah, every once in a while someone breaks them, but the good news is they only cost about $30. So when you break them, it won't be that sad.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, that was fun though. It's gonna hurt you.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you look here, this is too much. There's too much latitude. There's too much range between the shadow and the direct sunlight to get a good shot. If you filmed Weiwei or Tristan, they'd be way too dark, or the part in the sunlight would be way too bright. And there are a couple of ways to remedy that, and one is a very expensive way, which is with 12K HMIs. That's 12,000 watts. The lights you have in your home are probably 16 watts or 32 watts, something like that. Those are 12,000 watt lights. Those are the big lights, and they can compete with sunlight with those giant lights. The other way is with shiny boards or reflectors. And these are flex fills, which is the cheapest type of shiny board or reflector. And these will fight the sun. And so just 5 more minutes and we'll be ready. So, this particular set has, let's put the silver on that one. This has a gold, which looks like sunlight, which looks like a sunset light. It's very pretty. We can make it look like, here, watch, you'll like this. Okay, so Tara, if you look at Weiwei in them, let's see. Or can and it's hard to find the sun. Okay, see, it's look, she's in the sunlight now. The sun is setting. Watch, it's
I
getting
feel
darker.
warm. I feel extra warm.
Yeah, can you just shine it on?
This is like a hat.
Now, okay, so this is making that light.
So bright.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And I'll tell you, models and sometimes actors too, you do this before a take and it sucks and it has nothing to do with figuring out how you're going to express your sadness at your grandmother dying. Is you open your eyes super wide, and then when they're about to call action, your eyes will stay wider than they would for a little while, and then they'll go back.
Sure, like kind of good for your.
But okay, so here's the thing: is this is painful? This is painful, right? It's too bright. Oh, Tristan, I want you to look through the. Everyone else, come over here and look through the camera with Tristan, and I want one person to be a model, or I guess I can be the model. Okay, so actually, I'm going to use you as my edge light. So here, even this. Okay, if you look at me, aim that right at the back of my head. Is it aimed at the back of my head?
Yeah.
Do you see separation, like an edge around me?
Do y'all see me?
Can you guys? Here, aim it. Yeah, at me. Do you guys get that there's an edge? That this is making an edge? Remember how we looked at the edge inside? We were like, wow, the edge looks awesome. You can.
Do you want me to take it away?
No, keep it there. Yeah, we'll A/B it in a second. Once someone says yes, they see the edge.
I see it.
Okay.
Adjust the camera because it's all white right now.
Oh yeah. Let Toby grab the camera or it's hard. You can do it with your eyes too. Do you see an edge on me? We can A/B it.
see it.
Okay, Audrey sees it. Let's B it. Take it off. Do you guys see the difference between on and off? A it. You can do it. You can do it too. You can say A, B.
A, B, A, B, A, B. I'm gonna move so I'm not also reflecting it at you guys.
Okay. Do you see? It looks more professional with the edge, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then Audrey can put a key on me. She can put a golden key.
Oh, that looks really good.
Okay, so you just bought the 12 case for your shoot, but you have to feed them lunch because they are humans. So you see, you can take these out and make really nice lighting setups outside. Now, an issue with that is that when the sun goes away, these don't work as well. They can still work off a skylight, they just won't work as well. And if it's too hard, if the actor's like, I'm squinting, I can't take it. There's softer, I think there's a white silk in the, try this, try that one. So they can still get something with that and it's not as bad, right? I don't have to squint. I think maybe right there. Is that on me? Am I keyed there? Okay, do you guys feel like you understand these? Because the actors, it's time to start working with the actors. Everyone feels good? You can always ask me questions about this.
What are they called?
Those are called flex fills. That was 44 minutes long. Okay.
That was a great tutorial.
Okay, good. So good, you guys got something out of it. Good, I'm happy then.